Hi, Wendy from Poppy Hill Designs here. We've got another great project for you today, another one of our printables. I'm going to show you how to make this kaleidoscope ball ornament. And what this consists of is a 2-page PDF document. You'll get enough kaleidoscopes to make one ornament, and we've also included 4 extra just in case you make a mistake and you need to use a new one. That way you won't have to print out a whole new sheet. So once you've purchased these, you will download them. You can print on your own printer, or you can take to a copy center and have them print it for you. Just make sure they print it 100% and not fit to page, and print onto cardstock. Now the other unique thing about these files is we've gone ahead and drawn the score marks onto the design. So I'll hold it up to the camera and hopefully you'll be able to see a faint triangle. Now what this is the guide for you to make your score marks. So what you'll do is take a ruler, line it up against the score marks, make your score lines, then you're going to punch or cut the circles out and then assemble the ornament. That way the design will always be orientated the correct way, and of course, like most projects, the more exact you are, the better finished result that you'll have. So let me go ahead and get started on one of these ornaments. We'll make this one called Stained Glass. Here's another one that we have here. This is the Holly Jolly. And you'll see in depth all the 10 designs towards the end of the video. So you will need a few things before you get started. You'll need a ruler, and you'll need some kind of a scoring implement. Now I think it's called a bone tool that I had in one of my other craft kits. That could work. I even took this from my knitting supplies, and I think this is a cable needle, but it's got a blunt enough point on there that it will leave a score mark without damaging the print. So that could be an option. Just giving you some ideas if you don't have anything. And then this I found is a stylus, also in my craft supply, and it has a nice little ball at the end of it, and I found that this works really well. So what I'm going to do, instead of putting my ruler right side up and along here, which I could do, I found that if I turn it over, it's nice and flat, and I can line it up perfectly with that line on the drawing, on the kaleidoscope. So I'll line up that very first one, and with my stylus tool, I'll go ahead and make my first score line. And I like to do this row by row. So luckily, the way this is set up, I can do all these score lines for a whole row. Just take your time and be as accurate as possible. So you can see that went nice and quick. And then what I'd have to do is there'll be a left side and a right side of the triangle to do, and I'll do that all the way over for all the rows. So let me complete that and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I've gone ahead and scored all the outline triangles and all the pieces, and then what I did is I started cutting the sheets into strips so that I could punch out the circles. So now you can cut these out by hand, but if you are in the market for a good circle punch, I would recommend this one by Fisker, and this actually is a 2-inch punch, and it's really nice ergonomically. And all you do is I'll cut these last 4 out, is line it up inside the punch, and you can use that triangle also to help you find the exact spot. And as I slightly add pressure, it holds the paper, and when I'm confident that's where I want it to cut, I just squeeze all the way and get a perfect circle, and you can see how well that cut. So let me cut these last few out, and then we'll fold them and we'll start assembling the ornament. Okay, so that's all the pieces cut. And remember we said we gave you 4 extra. Well, it looks like everything went well, so I don't need them for this project. So I'll just set all this aside. And then we'll take a look at the kaleidoscopes. So because we've got the score marks in, they fold up extremely easy and you get a nice even cut, and they'll be really accurate when you start putting or gluing the tabs together. Okay, so I've got one more to do here. Now, some of the designs are, a kaleidoscope is symmetrical, but depending on the number of wedges that was used to create the kaleidoscope, there may not be symmetry on the triangle. So what I mean by that is if you look at this top corner here, you can see this is quite symmetrical there, but if I turn to this one, not so much, and not so much. So what I'm going to do is choose this as my top point. So as I fold these and start stacking them together, I'm going to stack them so that this part of the design is always up. So I'll look here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Like I said, this doesn't apply to all of the designs, but it does apply to some of them. So now you'll have a total of 20 kaleidoscope circles, and we're going to separate them into 3 piles. We're going to have one pile of 5, which will make the top of the ornament. The second pile of 5 will make the bottom portion of the ornament, and the remaining 10 will make the middle band to pull it all together. So let's go ahead and start assembling the top. So I'm going to place these all like this, so they're all facing in the right direction. And I just use a glue stick for this. I found that the glue stick actually, once it dries, it holds the ornament together really well, and it gives you a little bit of time to move things around if you need to. So I'm going to do that first tab, and then I'm just going to butt the other one right up against it. And you can look at both sides, make sure that they line up evenly. So I did a good job scoring and cutting on this one, so you can see that all goes together nicely, and then the top part of the design matches up. So then I'll take this other piece and I'll add some glue to that. Do the same thing. Just butt the pieces together. Make sure they're lined up. So like I said, you'll need 5 of these to make the top. And there's my last piece. And then once those have dried, I can glue these 2 pieces together, and then this will give me the top. But before I glue those 2 pieces together, I'd like to add a piece of ribbon, or in this case a piece of cording, so that I can have the hanging portion of the ornament. So I've gone ahead and just cut a length of this cording, and then I just tied a big knot in there. So once I slip that into the ornament, you can see that knot's big enough where it really won't come out. But once these 2 tabs are glued together, I would suggest that you either tape these 2 edges down, or if you have a hot glue gun, you could put a dab of glue here, and that would make it very secure. So normally I would let this dry up a little bit before I do this, but since we're doing a video, I think I'll chance it. Let's see. Great. So there's the top all done. That came together really nicely. I didn't do such a good job there. So I'll set that aside, let that dry. And then I'm going to, with the next 5 pieces, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with the top. But if I wanted to add some beading or some other kind of embellishment at the bottom, I would insert that the same way I inserted that piece of cording and glue it all together. And let me get that done and we'll come back and I'll show you how to assemble the middle portion of the ornament. Okay, so I've got the top assembled and I've got the hanger installed, and then here's the bottom portion, so this will go like that. Got that all done, so those two pieces are made pretty much the same. And then now I started working on this center portion of the ornament that ties it all together. So that last pile of 10 that I had, I separated it into 2 piles of 5. And what I did is I kept the design going to the top on 5 of them. Then I turned it all the way around and had the design pointing down. So essentially what's going to happen is you're going to butt those together just like this to form the band. So I've already got this started, so let me finish it off so you get a better understanding of how this all goes together. So this last piece, the pattern is pointing down, so I need to take from the pile with the pattern pointing up. So I'll go ahead and get that stuck on there. You know, I have to say I made a bunch of these ornaments years ago just from some recycled greeting cards. You cut the circle yourself and you scored it and you had a template and the whole bit, and they were pretty, but boy, they never really came out that great or that accurate. Okay, so that's pattern up, so now I need to choose from pattern down. Put that one on. So what I like to do, just lay it on the table, push them together, and then with my fingers just line those 2 tabs up the best that you can and push them together. Okay, 2 more pieces to go, so pattern up, push those together. I'm doing this really quickly, so you know, take your time doing this at home. There we go. And then the last piece will be patterned down. So get some glue on this tab. And normally I would let this set up for 10-15 minutes minimum, just to make sure all the pieces are together properly and have had a chance to dry. But since we're doing a video, I think I'll take a gamble and join these 2 tabs together. So hopefully this all holds in place. So this will be the center portion of the ornament. And I think you'll agree this goes together quite quickly. And it's a good family project, and I think it's good for older kids. You know, great if they're stuck inside on a rainy or snowy day. Okay, so now we've got the centerpiece all put together. And so what you would do is take the top piece, and you'll have 5 tabs, and you'll have 5 tabs here. You'll match those up, and then you'll glue them on top. And I'm not going to do this on camera because stuff hasn't had a chance to dry yet. So, but I think you'll get the gist of it. So each tab lines up with the one beneath it, and then the same for the bottom portion. Those 5 tabs will match up with the bottom ones, and that gives you the construction of the ornament. So once you're done, I don't think that's all going to stand. Better let us say. Once you're done, this is what you end up with. So you've got your top piece glued to the center piece and then your bottom piece. And you can tell this is really sturdy. So that's had a chance to dry. Now all of these, you know, because you've cut from white cardstock, you're going to see the core of that paper in the edge. And if that doesn't bother you, that's great. If you would like to cover that up, there's a couple of ways you can do that. You could certainly use like an ink pad or ink pen. You could paint it, you know, just to give it some decorative flair. You know, use a coordinating color. Or in this instance, I used some Mod Podge, and it's essentially just a white glue. Took a paintbrush and just painted it along the edges and sprinkled some silver glitter. And once that all dried and I just brushed away all the excess, I had some leftover rhinestones from a project, and I went ahead and used glue to attach a rhinestone to each of the areas where it comes together. So each place there's a joint. And if you wanted to do that, you would need 10 rhinestones to complete one project. So that's how you put a kaleidoscope glitter ball together. I hope you've enjoyed this project, and stay tuned and we'll show you all the designs and also a link to our website where you can purchase them. Thank you for watching.